of issues that these parties do not represent us on. We have a very narrow choice when it comes to the Conservatives, the Lib Dems and Labour. They are three parties of market fundamentalists who will not challenge the corporations, who will not put society ahead of this neoliberal fundamentalist approach that the market can resolve our problems, and who are all committed to an unnecessary and deeply destructive austerity programme. The Greens are the only ones in England who are bucking that. We have the SNP and the Plaid Cymru in Scotland and Wales, but in England the Greens are the only ones who are saying there is a different way. We don't have to have this austerity. We do not have to keep bowing down before the banks and the corporations. We can have a society which is fit for all of its people, rather than one which is governed by the billionaires and big business.
Now, after 6 o'clock on the show tonight, we're going to be talking about the Archbishop of Canterbury and York, both saying that nobody's really representing poor people in our society today. Now, I think the Green Party would say, well, you certainly could argue that none of the mainstream parties are, but we can do that. Now, how can they really make a breakthrough? In the same way that UKIP have on the right, how can they make the breakthrough on the left?
I actually think they're right on the verge of doing it, and it could easily be that we see them rushing through the finishing post and getting a few seats in this election, because the remarkably rapid rise in support that we are seeing, really unprecedented, south of the border, it's similar to what's happened with the SNP north of the border, suggests that the map of British politics is being redrawn at the moment. The big parties no longer have a monopoly on power. The small parties, despite the very unfair system of first past the post politics, despite that, they are managing to make some significant headway. And I think that we're going to start to see the Greens really swinging some weight, and we might actually see them possibly after the election holding the balance of power in a coalition. Now, that would be an interesting thing. Well,
it certainly would be. I mean, it's very difficult to identify where they could actually win some extra seats. There are a couple where they've got some in Norwich and Bristol and Oxford. But don't you think, though, that people view the Greens as a bit of a middle-class party? I mean, you look at Caroline Lucas, you look at Natalie Bennett, the two people that are best known for the Green Party, sort of archetypal middle-class women. How can they break through, like Nigel Farage has done, to the sort of white working-class Labour vote?
Well, I've said Natalie Bennett's Australian. They don't have classes.
Okay, fair point.
Well, what they are doing is putting forward policies which I think are much closer to what a lot of people at the bottom of society want and are demanding, such as a basic income, such as breaking with this insane austerity and instead having some much more effective taxation, for instance, land value taxation, where you can transfer some of the burden away from income tax, but actually tax the people who own the land and make so much money from the land at public expense. The landlords, both in the cities and in the countryside. And it's those sorts of policies which I think strongly commend them to people who have had a very rough economic deal. Well, not just under this government, but under the previous one as well.